Hello, ladies and gentlemen! This is the Mystery Writer speaking, and welcome to the show! Yay! Alrighty then. Well, the second episode of Battlebots had premiered, and it was freaking awesome. Can I say this? Can I just say this real quick? None of the fights that have aired on Battlebots so far have disappointed me. All of the fights have been that good. Today, we're going to be covering the fights in this BattleBots review. The first fight of episode 2 was Huge versus Son of Oishi. Now, I have to admit, this was a fight I never thought I actually see, nor did I ever thought I wanted until I saw the lineup. Now, Son of Oishi, they had an okay year last year. I mean, I know they technically made it to the top 15, but not in spectacular fashion. And Huge instantly became a fan favorite. No doubt about it. So this year, they came up with what they called spinner killer wheels, which is basically solid, thick plastic, polyethylene to be precise. And for some weird reason, they decided to go with their shorter bar. I thought that was a weird choice because I thought they should have gone with the longer bar to have a superior reach. Instead, the Huge team's strategy was to simply get as close as they can, have the wheels absorb the power of the blows from Son of Oishi's spinning weapon, and climb over the top of Son of Oishi with the smaller bar. Sorry to say, but this strategy did not work because the spinner killer wheels ended up being the Achilles heel of Huge. In other words, Son of Oishi was able to chip away at least one of the wheels enough so that it no longer became a perfect circle, but rather a half circle. And it just really couldn't get any traction on the floor anymore, and Huge was eventually counted out. Our next fight is probably the most controversial of episode 2. It is Texas Twister versus Black Dragon. Black Dragon is a new robot from Brazil, yet another Brazilian robot. But apparently this robot has some pedigree, or at least the team has some pedigree, because this team has actually competed against and won fights against the Minotaur team. That shows some promise in it itself. And this fight proves it, because despite the fact that Texas Twister managed to knock out Black Dragon's weapon and even cost a fire on Black Dragon for most of the fight, Black Dragon was still working. Black Dragon was able to push them around into the wall, into the various hazards, and even eventually managed to knock out Texas Twister's spinning weapon. Now, the fight did eventually go to the judges. It lasted the full 3 minutes. Personally, I feel as though that the fight should have gone to Black Dragon, but the judges, on a split decision I might add, went with Texas Twister, probably on the basis of damage, most likely on the basis of damage. But anyways, congratulations to Texas Twister. It was such a good fight. And Black Dragon, I hope you get the weapon working again, because you guys are looking in top form. Now, speaking of controversial fights, who can forget the absolute controversial decision that was Duck versus Bombshell last year? In the last chance rumble to decide the number 16 spot, the decision ultimately went to Bombshell on the basis of damage, even though it was technically immobilized for about a good chunk of the fight. And Duck, a lot of people thought Duck should have won the fight. But because of the rules that were in place within the match, the judges eventually went with, Bombshell. Everyone knows this story. Every BattleBots fan knows this story. Why am I even telling you this story? You obviously already know. And so, we got a redesigned Bombshell with 2 new captains. And we got a new and improved Duck. There's really not a lot to say about this match because it was over in 20 seconds. Duck got its revenge. So, in other words, to make a long story short, Duck got underneath Bombshell. Bombshell was pushed against the wall, tipped over onto its side, and a little bar on the back of Bombshell is worth absolutely nothing because that little self-righting bar that's supposed to allow the robot to, run upside down, failed miserably. And so, an easy win for Duck. I guess revenge is a dish best served easy. Over easy? Okay, bad puns aside. Good job to Duck, ladies and gentlemen. Duck deserved it, and Duck is looking good. Bombshell, I think you're going to need some work. You're looking good, but that self-righting bar on your backside, it's too thin. It's too thin. You needed a thicker bar. Now we are getting to the fights that seem awfully familiar. I mean, yeah, sure, we had Bombshell versus Duck, but that was a complete opposite of what happened with Duck versus Bombshell last year. Now we got Witch Doctor versus the brand smacking new Shatter. This fight was awesome. Witch Doctor managed to get in there. They managed to knock the hammerhead off of Shatter at one point. But they also started having some reliability issues, just like they did last year. At one point, there was even a fire on their robot. Again, kind of like last year. Again, there's not really a whole lot to say. I recommend you watch the fight because it was just so fast-paced, high-octane action. Neither robot really gave an inch, although Witch Doctor definitely seemed like it was starting to run down a bit towards the end. But Witch Doctor ultimately got the judge's decision, and he deserved it. Now, this next fight is between 2 robots that I have been looking forward to since I heard they were announced. Axe Backwards, who I put on my top 10 returning Battlebots of 2019 at number 10, mostly because of its new redesign. And of course, my number 4 pick for the top new Battlebots coming to 2019, Mammoth! To start the fight, Axe Backwards was actually the aggressor, charging at Mammoth at full speed. But Mammoth was like, "What are you doing? I don't care. I'm just going to push you into the wall." Axe Backwards definitely tried to keep on Mammoth through most of the fight. However, their primary weapon wasn't working. Something was off. Something wasn't working on Axe Backwards, which caused the weapon to not even spin once. Now, the weapon on Mammoth is not a spinning weapon. Yeah, it's a spinning, flipping, swatting arm of sorts. But anyways, at one point, Mammoth even lost a wheel. Not because of Axe Backwards. The wheel just came off on its own. Mammoth not only pinned Axe Backwards against the wall, it literally threw Axe Backwards on top of the screws. And then as Axe Backwards is trying to get off the screws, Mammoth refused to let him. As Mammoth eventually grabbed onto one of the axes that helped stabilize Axe Backwards and then plucked it into the air as if it was some sort of demented child with a bug. And then, dropping it, and eventually threw it out of the arena! The first out of the arena of the season. Oh my gosh, Mammoth couldn't have worked better. Now, this next fight was with one of my personal favorite robots and teams, Captain Shredder against the first Chinese robot to compete in Battlebots, Wan Hu. Wanhu decided to go with the triangular wedge design, triangular wedge plates on the front of Wanhu in order to try to deflect the shots from Captain Shredderator. However, Brian Nave did a really good job in the pits of describing how that was going to be ineffective because physics. No, he literally just said that. He just said physics. Because of the way that he spins, he's not going to fly up in the air like other horizontal spinners, like, say, Tombstone or whatever. He's going to stay on the ground. And that's how it worked through most of the fight. Early on, Wanhu's weapon was literally disabled by Captain Shredderator. Eventually, Captain Shredderator just hit it so much, one of the triangular plates on the front of Wanhu even came flying off. This was the most dominant Captain Shredderator had been in years. At one point, Wanhu even stopped moving. What did Brian Nave do? He hit it again! Which ultimately came to his downfall because this somehow revived Wanhu and disabled Captain Shredderator. Congratulations to Wanhu. They're looking impressive. This wasn't the best showing of Wanhu, but it was a hard-earned win. Captain Shredderator, work on your drive a little more. Get some better drive motors or something. Figure out what happened and get it done. What am I saying? This was filmed back in April. Why am I giving them advice now? It's too late. And finally, our main event, Whiplash versus Minotaur. Now, everyone was expecting this matchup between Minotaur and Whiplash to be a high-octane, high-damage fight. That couldn't have been farther from the truth. In fact, it turned out to be quite the tactical driving match between the Minotaur driver and Matt Fastgas of Whiplash. As Minotaur couldn't get their brand spanking new spinning drum weapon, newly designed spinning drum weapon, I might add, working. The decision eventually went to Whiplash, probably on the basis of damage and control. However, congratulations to Minotaur for doing a great job, and I hope they managed to get their weapon situation taken care of. Even the hosts had to admit that this looked eerily similar to Minotaur's first fight in the 2018 season against Tombstone, and where they lost that fight on a fluke because Tombstone gouged out the floor and Minotaur got high-centered on a piece of metal. This time around, it was a judge's decision, but Minotaur still lost their very first fight of 2019. What does that mean for Minotaur? Is this new drum design not working for them? They did say that because there was a lot more inertia in this design, it takes longer for it to spin, and so they had to calibrate it to their weapon motors in order for it to spin faster. Definitely needs to be tweaked, but congratulations to Whiplash. I hope you get your lifting arm fixed in time for your next fight. And yeah, Whiplash is definitely looking like a contender. That's why I put them on my #1 returning robots list. Check it out. But anyways, please leave a like, smash that subscribe button, press that bell icon. Let's try to improve the quality of this channel. I definitely could use some support in that regard. But anyways, until next time, sayonara!